kind of like it draws the player into the world more.
It gives your decisions agency. That like you have done something to this world. There's actually a great commentary about Fallout 4.
Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is another good example. Also another good game.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that the Fallout 4 there's somebody made a really good point about it. There's only one faction in the game that when you interact with them, that it changes the world. And so it actually makes it feel like the decisions that you make actually change how things happen. And those kind of things, especially if game designers would learn, those are the things that like we're talking about it now, that it makes you feel like you're part of this. Like it's not just that you're this thing moving around in it. You've actually made a change onto the world.
That it has repercussions.
Yeah. For 16-bit, I've honestly the best Zelda game that I still love to this day is A Link to the Past. I think that is, in my opinion, the best one that they've ever made. Now, I haven't played some of the newer ones, but it's straightforward. I mean, as I said about the original, yeah, you can play it and just have fun. Phantasy Star 3, Super Mario World, I thought was excellent. Even though it was the first title out, that was fun.
That game was just so big. It was like 96 worlds that you could go to. Had it been shorter, may not have held up as well, but definitely with the length of it, it was just so much variety.
Well, and the great thing about it is they put the effort into the number of levels versus the like overwhelming you with graphics. So I think in many ways they saved on overwhelming with graphics and giving you more content to play. So, but hold on a second. You guys keep talking.
I don't know if you guys remember a game on the PlayStation. It was called Legacy of Kain.
I remember the name, but I didn't. I had a secondhand PlayStation that I got in like the early 2000s, and I only had like 2 games for it, so I never really had that PlayStation experience.
I used to have a PlayStation Portable, the handheld deals, and those are great when I was out at sea and I was underway and space is limited, of course. That's obviously like if you're in that kind of life, that's the way to go. Definitely get into portable gaming. And yeah, did that. And but as far as like some of the games like on Xbox, like particularly the Arkham series with the Batman games, to me those are a lot like Assassin's Creed, same type of format. Assassin's Creed, I was more partial to Black Flag, and for Arkham, I liked Arkham Origins. But
something for me, I kind of got out of gaming for a long time. You know, it felt like it really peaked with the 32-bit era early on for me.
Well, I know, and that's what I'm getting to, because here's kind of like the crazy punchline. It's like I knew I was like out of touch when I was given a Arkham game for Christmas, and I go to play it on my kid's Xbox, and I go and I'm looking for instructions, and there are no instructions. And I look at Ava and I go, "Where are the instructions?" And she kind of pauses and she just stares at me for like what felt like an eternity in silence and goes, "Dad, there are no instructions."
The instructions are in the game.
It's like
tutorials.
You're just going to have to just figure it out. And I was like, I don't have the patience for this.
Well, and here's the funny thing is, think about back in the day, they didn't put tutorials in because either they expected you to throw more quarters in and figure it out, or it took up so much bandwidth or memory to even bother putting in a tutorial. So why put in a tutorial? We'll just give you a handbook of instructions. You'll learn from the handbook and then go play. Now it's like, all right, we'll do the tutorial in the beginning because nobody's reading the handbook anyway. I mean, hell, half of this stuff they're downloading online, so why bother? What's funny is you were talking about Legacy of Kain. That got me thinking about something else, and I was like, because I never played Legacy of Kain. Legacy of Cage for the Nintendo. Do you guys remember that one?
Yes.
Never played it.
Ninja person throwing stars and stuff. I never beat that, man. I played that one so much trying to beat it. That was so bad.
Now, I do think an underrated system that unfortunately didn't get the funding or didn't get the promotion or whatever the case was. There were a couple of games, and I know one of them was a complete ripoff of Mortal Kombat. But all I remember is that Pump and I were playing, and it was one of those martial arts game, and he whooped my ass. And in the end, where it goes finish him, he gave me a poopality, which turned me into a pile of poo. And I was like, you know what? After that happens, there's no coming back for that. You just know that you just can't play this game. It's over. It's done.
But I think it was Ultra Vortex.
I know.
It was originally called Ultra Vortex, and they changed it before it came out.
But when you had Aliens versus Predator and you had it hooked up to your stereo, and I remember we all came over there like
The
for the
huge
first
TV.
time. Yes, and it was
the huge
like
TV in the dark.
Yeah,
it was like, dude, this is like how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? It's like, because I remember we were all kind of go ah, every time like the alien or the predator would jump out, and it's like everybody was like on edge.
There were two things. You'd be sitting there and you're creeping through the hallway and you'd hear, "Get over here," and you're like, "Oh crap, the predator's! Oh my god, the predator's here!" Or you'd hear, and you're like, "Oh crap, the alien's on me." I've only had one other experience like that where that was that much fun. A buddy of mine, Tony, and I were at my house up here right when I first moved here, and I had just gotten an Xbox, and I was playing God, was it Call of Duty? Maybe it was like the first Call of Duty or something, where you the Medal of Honor, maybe I think is what it was called, and you have to storm the Normandy beach. And I had it hooked up to my stereo. We turned the lights off, and so we're playing in the dark with the stereo cranked up. And like you're sitting there trying to get on the Normandy beach, and there's just shells hitting around you, and it's just like boom, 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 boom. We had it so loud, my neighbors were banging on the floor because I was on the first floor. They're banging on the floor, telling me to shut up, and on the other side, hitting on the wall. It's like, oh, I think I'm pissing off the neighbors. We probably need to turn it down. But that was like so much fun, just turning it down and then just getting immersed in this like drama, because it was so hard just. If you didn't know what you were doing the first couple of playthroughs, just trying to get across that beach.
So much of that stuff, going back and looking at a lot of those games now, like the frame rate is really choppy and everything up close is really pixelized. And, you know, for us to be as into it as we were back then, it really shows how far games have come since.
I know.
But I think something that modern games really haven't done is they've not been as innovative as what we've been through. Maybe it's a lack of, maybe everything's kind of been done. I don't know, but we really aren't seeing those big firsts where it's a new experience for us. Everything is a retread of some sort.
It feels like now they're dumping it all into like this VR thing.
I don't. I mean, as far as like that, I think VR would actually make those games that we were immersed in like that. I think I haven't done any VR, but like I think those games would be incredible. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And from what I've heard about like them doing it with, I think Skyrim, there's been some positive on it. In relation to whether or not there's that creativity of game, I don't know if I necessarily agree with you. I think what has ended up happening is it is small publishers, not on consoles, on PC, releasing games that are innovative and different. There was one that I got into called Dredge recently, which it's a horror story is really what it is, but you go out fishing. and you pilot your little fishing boat around during the day, and if you go fishing at night and you don't have light, think like this big anglerfish comes up and starts attacking you until your ship gets destroyed. But you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Like there's this whole horror story that you're involved in. Great little game, but think about it. Your fishing boat. Who the hell wants to do that? I watched somebody play it online, and then I went and got it, and I like ground on that. Just was grinding and grinding and grinding on that game. So I think there's a lot of stuff out there, but I think it's just finding it, and it really has come down to, I think, the small publishers, the small independent publishers putting stuff out. But there's a lot of retread in relation to, I mean, you look at even Baldur's Gate 3, which came out. I mean, that is technically just a upgraded version of the original isometric role-playing game, Baldur's Gate. That they've just taken that concept and expanded it out into a current zone. And you take even the things by like Owlcat Games for Pathfinder or Warhammer. It's all kind of derivative in the same kind of zone. So I think there's a lot out there, and even side scrollers. People are still putting out side scrollers, but it's not going to consoles. The major publishers, I don't think, are the ones dumping it out there, and if they are, they're dumping out trash primarily because it's easy and cheesy, and they're using like old code. But I mean, there's something about the Assassin's Creed games which I think are new and interesting, but at the same time, in many ways, kind of boring. Like, I think if you play,
it's the same kind of format. You know what I mean? The same. That's why I'm saying, like, the Arkham games and the Assassin's Creed games are basically the same thing. Just one has Batman and the other one has this other guy.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you didn't have, I mean, there's a whole concept of the survival game, which, I mean, I'm embedded in the Ark survival game. So, I mean, that's kind of my intro to it. But there's zombie survival games and there's stuff like that, which is a little different than what we grew up on because you didn't do survival games. Survival game was what? Friday the 13th, where you're running from Jason, or something like that. Oh, was it Splatterhouse you mentioned? Those kind of things where that's the survival you're going through as compared to, hey, I'm trapped on a deserted island and I need to figure out how to survive here. And so there are a bunch of those out there that are doing that. I did see an interesting video where they were talking about how, speaking of another genre of game, SimCity, how EA actually screwed themselves on the SimCity platform because of decisions that they made, which then opened the door for City Skyline. If you guys haven't played it, it is probably the best SimCity game out there. And it's
Skyline.
Cities Skyline, yeah.
Okay.
They did a sequel, and I didn't play that, but the original for the computer is so good.
Wow. I love me some original SimCity.
No, seriously, check out Cities Skylines. Let me see if I can tell you who the company that makes it is. It is.
While we're sitting here, like, talking about video games, and I understand, like, if people like are really huge fans of this series, and that's cool if you are, but I tried playing it and I just didn't see the point of it. It was fun at first, but it was kind of like an ADHD distraction, and then you just get bored with it. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Anything Grand Theft Auto. All that game does is teach you how to be a criminal. You can be a serial killer. I mean, that game is like, you want to learn how to be a criminal? Play Grand Theft Auto.
I think it's because it was one of the first big open world games.
Yeah.
The GTA 3.
Yeah.
So there was another game that came out that Lucasfilms games, I forget what the name of it at the time, LucasArts put out for the Xbox, and it was called Mercenaries. And the plot of the game was you end up America and its allies end up invading North Korea after Kim Jong-il ends up getting deposed. And do you remember how we went into Afghanistan and everybody got like the deck of cards, and there were different pictures on the deck of cards of who we were trying to capture? Do you guys remember that? Okay. Well, in the game, you had a deck of cards of the different people that were part of Kim Jong-il's organization that you were supposed to go capture. And you were a mercenary sent out to do it. The reason I bring that up is the gameplay was actually very similar to Grand Theft Auto. And I had played Mercenaries first. I freaking loved it. It was fun. It was great. And then I played Grand Theft Auto. I think it was either 3 or Vice City. I think it was 3 is one that I really got into. And it's fun, but there's no, like, the biggest problem with Grand Theft Auto, at least from what I've seen in the couple games that I've played of theirs, is there's no, like, no turn your character can make to go, you know what, I want to try and steer not into the worst case scenario possible. Like, everything always is steering you to this, you know what, I'm going to end up in this multi-person gang war and I'm going to be shooting everybody out. And I get that that's part of, like, the game, but at the same token, it's like, it's not a role-playing game. So you're not playing a role. You're literally doing a side-scrolling shooter. It's just you're doing a side-scrolling shooter with an open world instead, because there is very limited options of what you can do. You're not really picking many options. Now, they may have expanded that with some of the newer ones, and maybe they do that with 6, which is coming out supposedly in the next year. But that's where, I mean, to me personally, Mercenary is kind of more fun. It was very clear. I'm going out hunting these bad guys. Boom, done deal. Those kind of things. We were talking about original games. One of the other ones I wanted to point out was it was a game that I found actually called Dave the Diver. And the game, and we want to talk about originality. Part of the game is you end up going and you are swimming down and collecting different types of fish for the second part of the game, which you're a diver who's working with a buddy who is running a sushi shop. And so you swim down and you get stuff for making the sushi, which you then go at night and you are serving the sushi. So you run the sushi shop at night, and then during the day you go down swimming. Then there's this other story about this, like, alien kind of thing that's going on that you're also trying to figure that out when you're doing the diving. So there's, like, multiple stuff to it. So you want to talk about originality? Yeah, it's a swimming game. I mean, there was a swimming game for, like, the Atari 2600 where you're just kind of swimming around thing. Okay, yeah, it's an evolution of that, but they've expanded it to add, like, the mixing it with what was the game where you're delivering beer, bar tapper or something, beer tapper, something like that.
Beer tapper,
something like that. Yeah, where the guy's throwing the beer out, and that's kind of the sushi shop. It's the two components of it, and it's just better graphics. So maybe it is derivative, but putting it together and then having this little story to it. That's where I want to say that I think there are some actually really good small developers putting out stuff that is interesting. And it's just trying to find it. There is a guy that I watch his YouTube videos. Oh God, Scorecat Gaming? No, Scattercat Gaming. And he'll go look at stuff that is, like, on the periphery. I would recommend checking out some of his stuff and just seeing what he pops up. Some of it is going to go mainstream, like he tries to avoid it, but you know, it's clear. It's like, okay, he really wants to play this one or review this one just to do it. But actually, probably the final one I'm going to hit on that is probably outside the zone. A game called Stray, and I don't know if you guys saw this one. It actually was unbelievably beautiful. And the worst part is I had to stop playing it because it freaked the shit out of my daughter. You actually play a stray cat in a world where humans are gone, and your interaction with people are robots. and there are these little like crab things that are running around infesting the world. Visually, it's beautiful. It's this serious dystopia, but you are literally playing a cat. I'm not kidding you. Like meow 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 kind of thing. But I thought that was like, where else do you see that kind of game? That conceptual thing. So I kind of went off on a tangent.
Don't believe it.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
You get all kind of hate comments. What the fuck?
Not surprisingly, we've been a little all over the place, despite our intention of being on one topic.
We're still talking about video games, though. We're still talking about
I'm sorry though, man. These are
we had one alcohol tangent. Okay, one alcohol tangent. Sid Meier's Pirates. Did you guys ever play that?
I have not played any of the Sid Meier's games, not even Civilization.
Okay, Civilization is good. It's good enough that it's had multiple sequels. I mean, if you're into like that Sim City kind of thing, it's kind of Civilization is really what it is.
I have one last game. To bring up.
Okay, well let me roll through Pirates. Sid Meier's Pirates. The awesome thing about it was it is probably the first open world one conceptually as a pirate, because you can sail all over the area. You can choose who you're attacking for things, and if you piss off enough people, they'll send pirate hunters after you. You can just go and raid to build up money, to build up status. You can marry to get status. Like the whole thing is just trying to build up your status so that you're a famous pirate. And you can rescue family members who are abducted by this bad guy to gain status, and then find like Aztec gold as another way of getting a lot of money. But that game, I have even the remake of it that they did probably in the early 2000s, and I still think it is one of those games that you can just sit down and just play and have fun playing. It's just mindless entertainment. It kind of goes into the same zone of kind of Zelda, where you're kind of moving through the map. You don't really have to necessarily think too much of what you're doing. You just kind of do it, and yes, it's simple, but it is still entertaining in its depth for being a simple game. And I think a lot of the games that we've seen now, one of the biggest problems I have with it is they make it complex to make it entertaining, instead of making it entertaining and then allow you to adjust the complexity depending on how hard you want it to be. I mean, I don't necessarily want to have to do story mode and everything because the game is so freaking complex just to figure out what the story is. That kind of thing. But all right, what's your last one, D?
And actually, the rock band Queensryche put out a version of this game, but it was all derivative of a game I used to like. I don't know why, it just really drew me in. It was called Myst. MYST.
We remember Myst.
Yep. I don't know why. I just always like that game always fascinated me because it was like a puzzle.
It was kind of, I don't know if you remember this game on the NES, but it was one I actually had called Shadowgate. And Myst was kind of like a spiritual successor to Shadowgate, where you go from static screen to static screen trying to solve a puzzle to move on to the next room.
Yeah.
Shadowgate drove me so freaking nuts. You're dead. You're dead. Well, see, for me, for Myst, the thing that threw me out on Myst was Baka had it. And we'd go over to his house and he'd be playing it. And he's like, "Oh, dude, I'm at this part." Actually, was it him or was it Nico?
It was Baka. Baka had it.
That's why I thought it was Baka. But we'd go over there, and and it had little like cutscenes where you'd find certain things, and it was real people. Mm-hmm. and it would be like this guy, and he's right up in the camera, and he's like, "Bring me the blue pages," and all I remember is us ripping on it so bad about that. And so I could never get, like, yes, it was a beautiful game, and it was okay, it has puzzles and all this stuff. I could never get past that. Like, us just ripping on, "Bring me the green pages," and it's like, what the hell is that? Like,
if you remember, one of the reasons why he had that game was because instead of him having a regular PC, his family always had Macintosh, and that was one of the few games that was available on Macintosh.
Well, and I'm not going to bash Macintoshes, because my first introduction to role playing games was actually from my uncle and aunt, because they had the original Ultima 2, I think Ultima 2, 3, and 4, and when those ported over, and Ultima 3 ported over badly to the Nintendo, but it was fun, but in a different way. But Ultima 4 was awesome on the. I love that one on the. Was that on Nintendo or Super Nintendo?
Ultima 4?
I think it was Nintendo. I don't remember. Either way, but that was... So I'm not going to bash on... I mean, and then you get into all the old... we all did the Apple IICs in like elementary school and middle school.
Yeah.
You gotta go with Oregon Trail, man.
Oh, yeah.
That game is classic.
Absolutely.
So, all right, what's your final one, Plump?
Oh, if I'm going to throw a game out there that it's probably due for a remake, I haven't played the updated versions or the sequels of it, because they're different publishing houses. This was on the Super Nintendo, Shadowrun.
They have actually made.
There are new Shadowrun games, yes, but those are a little bit different from what the original one was.
Yes. I did play the what I think
they botched Cyberpunk, if you remember, and remember Cyberpunk was in competition with Shadowrun.
Yeah.
So I haven't. Supposedly, doing the expansions, they have fixed a lot of the problems with Cyberpunk. So if they botched the rollout of Cyberpunk, but for Shadowrun, the ones that I thought were the best spiritual successor to the Super Nintendo one. I actually have them. I bought all of them. I thought they were so much fun. Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Hong Kong, and Shadowrun Dragonfall. They were... Who was the company that did it? It was Harebrained Schemes.
Yeah. I have some of those, but I haven't played them yet. I bought them for like $5 on a clearance on Steam.
Go play them. They're fun. Like, it's... So instead of like the one from the Super Nintendo where it's real time, once you get into combat, you end up... It turns into kind of like turn-based per person. And... I mean, you can make it more difficult, but I mean, even the stories are actually decent stories, even to play through. But definitely check them out. I really enjoyed them.
I got a question. What would you guys like recommend or whatever? Say if somebody's like been out of gaming and they want to get back into gaming and they don't really know where to look. And maybe if they're like maybe into the retro games, are there like some sites or whatever that have that kind of thing that you can like play that kind of stuff for free, or no?
There is.
There are emulators. What you want to, if you want to get into old games, look into emulators.
Okay.
Which is, I actually have an emulator on my laptop, which I may, after this discussion today, I may end up.
Because I only have like 2 games on my Chromebook, and that's like Doom and Knights of the Old Republic. I mean, my stuff is like old school is.
But well, that's the thing is like there are emulators for stuff, old Xbox, old Super Nintendo, old Genesis. You can find emulators out there for all kinds of stuff. And I mean, that's technically what the Retro Pi is it's just an large emulator machine.
Yeah. There's a website. I actually saved it on my computer called retrogames.cz. The letters C like cat and Z like zebra. Check that out.
What is it?
Retrogames.cz.
All right.
I think there's also Emulator Zone is another one you can do. Emulator Zone was one of them. There was another one that I'd used. RetroArch, maybe? Oh, no, that's one of the different ones. There's RetroArch, Dolphin. There's a bunch of
There's
different...
some stuff that you can buy out there. I see them at the flea market where it's like a little retro system that'll have like 1,000 games on it. And yeah, granted, a lot of it's filler that you're never going to touch, but it will have some of the old games.
Well, in some games don't emulate.
Some
Like
games
no matter how much either the people who are putting them into the emulation, it breaks, or the emulator doesn't appropriately emulate the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely if you want to go into old school, if you don't have the money to invest in getting the old systems, I'd either on your Chromebook download an emulator, find a good emulator, and find what you want.
Yeah.
So there we go. We've gone roundabout to end up with emulating games.
All right. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
Continue to follow us on our socials, which we'll post here at the end of this when this finally goes out. If you guys want to have questions or would like to interact with us, you can send us an email at antwackystudios@gmail.com. I am on Blue Sky and TikTok at Squid Adrift. And that's all I got.
I say once this is up on YouTube, add in the comments if you got games that you want to flame, games that you want to praise, stuff that we talked about or stuff we didn't.
I like how you go, if there's games you want to flame, like you're going immediately for the insult. Like, come on, how about some positivity? Tell us some good games. Tell us, and if it's new stuff coming out, tell us the new stuff that we need to go looking at. Lead the people listening to this of new stuff that's good out there.
If anyone out there wants to defend Moon Patrol, you're wrong. You're wrong. I hate that game.
What was it, like Robotron 2064 or something? Actually, let's do one final thing. What is a game we unbelievably hate?
Moon Patrol.
Well, I know Moon Patrol for you. I'm actually going to throw Smash TV in there. I thought conceptually it was a great idea. I freaking hate that game. Like, every time I played it, I decided I hated it. Like, more and more every single time I played it. D, what's your hate?
I can't list all the games that put me in a bad mood.
Just pick
Pump
one.
has seen me when I am irritated at something, particularly with like maybe arcade boxing games. I've been known to be just a little bit too intense. I can't help it. Certain things piss me off. So
I thought you were going to come out with like Super Star Wars and start yelling that every time I see a Jawa, I want to murder one.
No.
Or the horrible hard difficulty of Earthworm Jim or Battletoads. Let's not go there.
No, we won't go there. That's a whole nother record. All right, gents. Let's roll. We're good.
Right.
Thanks everybody for listening. Hopefully, as Pump said, give us some leads. Give us some info. Who doesn't like a good video game, especially in a crap world that we got rolling right now? Make it a little bit better. Make it a little less
games. Hate on them.
A little less Grand Theft Auto, a little bit more Super Mario Brothers. Let's go eat some mushrooms and shoot some fireballs.
Sounds like fun.